Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my new video where we are going to go over 5 tips for Leona, and I am almost 100% sure that you are not going to know every single one of these. Please let me know in the comments down below if you knew everything that I was talking about. I'd love to hear some feedback, and if I'm digging hard enough to find you guys a little bit of uncommon tips. Before we start out, though, I just wanted to do a big shout out to one of my patrons who plays a crap load of Leona, and one of the perks with being a patron of mine is you get to choose a video topic once a month. So we're doing that. I'm going to put a link to my Patreon in the description if that's something that interests you. Also offer coaching and some like stream benefits, like you always get to join our custom groups no matter what and stuff like that. So Leona, an amazing champion right now, particularly for low elo, due to her extreme amount of engage and her ability to just really snowball and run away with lanes. I am going to go over these 5 tips, and whenever I do one of these tip videos, I absolutely love when other Leona players comment down below with their own tips. So please make sure to do that if you feel like you are can contribute to the conversation. I love that. I'm also going to put a Discord link if you just want to join, hang out. Yeah, pretty cool group of people in the Discord, and I always post when I update my videos and when I go live on stream, if that interests you at all. And let's jump right into the tips. Alright, and let's jump into tip number 1. Now, this is really important for those people out there that are a little bit newer to Leona and are a little bit in lower elo. What I consider lower elo is pretty much platinum and below, because I very rarely see this tactic employed in those elos when I'm playing Flex on stream with some of my viewers, or I'm just playing in normals. And it is the cheese. Leona has an extremely strong cheese with her very high base damages, the damage she provides on her sunlight proc, her auto attack reset with shield of daybreak, her stun, and then also her base damage from aftershock. So I'm going to show you a couple different locations that you can look to take advantage of for your cheeses, and I'll just give you a demonstration of how you want to play out your cheese. So a lot of the times the champions will be either coming from here or here, and you want to let them get absolutely as close to you as possible, so they have to run as far away from you as they can, as quickly as possible, because very rarely will you lose this 2v2. Particularly, you want to look for these when you have a Lucian or a Draven on your team that can really just bully the early game here. So you want to wait for them to get about this close, and then you go auto, Q, auto, and then you can use your ignite if you feel like you have some chase down potential, and this will provide a lot of damage. It gives 71, so it's 140 on your 2 autos, 150 with shield of daybreak, and then 175, and then plus your ignite, which is 70, and that's just coming from the support on top of your aftershock damage, which is going to be just all adding up to a shitload of damage. This most likely you're not going to probably get a kill, but what you're going to be able to do is you're going to trade out your ignite for a flash, which is going to be very big on Leona on your level 2 all-in, where you can use your flash and really punish the enemy laners and make them miss a lot of CS. So make sure you're taking advantage of these traps. And then obviously if you're on the other side and they take the route that is a little bit more unsafe, and they go around this way after helping their jungler with this blue buff, you can just do the same thing, and that's auto, Q, auto, and then ignite, and then obviously look for a chase down when applicable. Now, some of the lesser known cheese spots are right here. This has happened to me a couple times in Diamond. I did not know. I play a lot of mage supports, and this happened to me a couple times in Leona. When I saw it, I was like, wow, I really need to tell people about this cheese because it works quite well. A lot of the times the support, even if they take the safe route, they are going to get into this bush because they want to ward out this bush, especially when you're going against Leona, and she likes to deny vision a lot and be unseen. So it'd just be the same basic rotation in the auto, Q, auto, and then doing your ignite and chasing down when possible. And then obviously you can do it from this bush if they're taking this, you think they're going to take the safe route around like that. So keep these in mind. So they're not 100%. Obviously, these cheeses aren't going to work all the time, but they're going to be just that, maybe that extra 2% a win rate you're going to just be able to pick up on Leona by being able to snowball more lanes using these bush traps. There's no reason not to, unless they just have, you just have a terrible level 1 compared to your enemy. you should always be looking to take advantage of this cheese and look for the early potential, because that's when Leona is really at her strongest in her just availability to damage out enemies in the early game. She is so great. So that will wrap up tip number 1 for Leona. Alright guys, and let's jump into tip number 2 with Leona. It is so insanely important, especially with playing any engaged support, not only Leona but anything else. You really want to buy early boots as soon as possible, because what this is going to allow you to do is just be able to chase people down quicker and get into range a lot quicker with your ultimate, and be able to chase them down a lot better, particularly if they're low mobility champions, something like an Ashe or maybe a Brand, and you're able to just run at them at an extremely high speed and get your stun off, and then get your combo is just going to be so insanely big that sometimes it's going to be just another 2% on that win rate that you're adding by rushing early boots, and maybe not necessarily just going straight into an item outside of boots. And this will also enable an extremely important play style when you're playing something like Leona, and it's really going to help out your roaming quite a bit, because it just allows you to get into range really quickly, and then also move around the map and show up in places where you are unexpected. So always keep this in mind. Early boots are extremely important, Leona. If you take one thing away from this video, it is to buy boots as early as possible with Leona, because it is she scales so well with being able to close the distance that quickly with this, because all she's looking to do is just jump in on people. So that'll wrap up tip number 2 for Leona. Alright, and jumping into the next tip. This is what I see a lot in low elo, is people are really just performing at a really weird level with CC chains. I think this is a bit innate in a lot of World of Warcraft players. I don't know if any of you are out there, but I loved World of Warcraft. I played a shitload of it, and a very important thing in that was CC duration and stacking them correctly, and not overriding some of your CCs with already an ally that had used their CC on the champion. So what you want to keep in mind when you're playing Leona, because you have 3 very great CCs on champions, is do not overlap them, and this is going to be really easily shown by a white bar that's going to come up above this little practice tool dummy with the Teemo hat on it. So just keep an eye out for that, and it will show you the duration. So when I E in on it, the white line at the top goes away really quickly, but you can see that it's about to go, and then you can Q right after you see the white line, and then after the stun's done. And you just do not want to overlap everything. You just have to have this timing in your head where you know that it's just going to play out perfectly, and you're not going like with like a QR, like everything right on top of each other, because that is not going to put your team in the best situation as possible. So always look at the little white bar that's going to show up above the practice dummy. Is going to be extremely different for champions that have Merc Tread, some that have Legend Tenacity, some that have Unflinching. So just always pay attention to where that white line is, and do not override it with something like a Jhin route. If that can extend your combo, you want to have as long of a CC combo as possible. Everyone's had that feeling of like, God, I've just been sitting in CC for 10 seconds. What the fuck happened? With like a Morgana binding, and then a stun from Braum or something like that. So always keep in mind, just try and frustrate the enemy as much as possible with the insane amount of CC that you bring with Leona. Alright, and tip number 4 with Leona, I want to just go over a really important part of her kit and how she can carry in the mid to late game, because Leona, generally, they can do extremely well in lane, but might struggle a little bit when a lot of people get their items. So what you want to look to be doing is vision denial, because you are essentially a pick champion. You want to play her out a bit like an Elise, where you want to take advantage of the fog of war. Is going to be so huge. This can be achieved in 2 different ways. First, you should be pinging your allies, showing that, hey, I am right here and I'm going to be looking for a pick. You want to have a ward, or you want to have your sweeping lens down. Now, I know a lot of people probably have heard this before with Leona, but you do not I so rarely see this in those games. I so rarely see the people that I play with do that in these games, because she has such amazing pick potential with essentially 3 different types of CC and very high base damages. So this should be a constant thing that you should be looking for. You should not be just doing this every once in a while, or maybe doing it once or twice a game. This should be constant, particularly when big objectives are up. It's always great when you have your lane pushed to the tower and you know you can't tower dive and your scuttle crab is up. This is a great time to look for a trap on the enemy jungler. The enemy team will assume that you have backed, because this is very rarely done. And just look for these picks. Look for every single small advantage you can accumulate with Leona, and you will just see such great dividends. There are a bunch of different combos. You can do the same thing as a cheese, letting them get as close to the bush as possible and start your combo off with a Q and see if you can get a kill and not even have to use your ultimate, or save your ultimate if they flash away. So always just look to take advantage of the Fog of War, which is very rarely respected in lower elo if you're playing from iron to gold, or to even to platinum, and still see it a little bit in diamond, which can be a little frustrating to say the least. And that will wrap up tip number 4 with Leona. All right, and jumping into the final tip, it is the extreme importance of buying a Zeke's on Leona. For some reason, I have no idea what it is. Low elo players do not build Zeke's Convergence enough. It is such an insanely strong item. I just checked it up on pro builds, and it's built around 52% of the time with pros. A lot of the time even going first item after the support item completion. This is just so insanely good on Leona, particularly when you have a hyper carry that you can buff up with a really strong burn on their autos. But what this is going to allow is, after you proc your ult, it gives you a slow around you that is rather large, and it allows you to chase people down easier, land your E's at a higher rate, and can set up just so much for your team. So please look to take advantage of Zeke's. My channel is all really about helping out low elo people, and I think that this is just such a great tool that you do not have to press. It's not one of those a little bit harder things like, should I be doing my Aegis now, or should I wait for the Fizz Burst, or should I wait for this or that or that? This is just a great item all around that really is underutilized by a lot of low elo players. So if you enjoy this kind of content, if you like educational stuff, if you want to get a hold of me and you want to be like, hey, I really need some help, I can't get out of my silver promos, I love to help out people like this. That's why I put together my channel. It's why I make videos like this. I just really enjoy doing it. It's kind of why I'm becoming a teacher and a coach, just because this is, I just get a lot of enjoyment out of helping people out. Now I do have I have a bunch of messages I need to go through, but I really I'm trying my absolute best to help everyone out that sends me a message, and I really appreciate all your guys' support. I can't believe I've hit over 6,000 subscribers. It's just absolutely insane. I really appreciate all the support, and now I have a couple Patreons. It's just been such a cool experience, and I'm just so happy that you guys have kind of just come along for the ride with me. And yeah, guys, as always, take it easy.